you're tired and you're running late or whatever.
I had some buddies
And then they have
exemplary ESPN
you know, so it's some of the ladies that used to coach.
things. They sit at gymnasiums, they sit ESPN, and like you were in the studio, had the fitness
You know, they stay active.
just welcome. General, we have a discussion about school matters. Give it more minutes. It's fine now. Give it 5 more seconds. Okay, we have generally assembled here for, we're gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna have a conversation tonight about a couple of things like mask and HVAC window project bids. We're gonna move to this one as nice and smooth as possible. We're gonna turn it over to our superintendent. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. The first thing I'd like to discuss this afternoon is on April 9th, the mask order within our state is due to be lifted. And so we need to make a decision about what we're going to do within our schools. The governor is still going to encourage everyone to wear masks while they're inside, but it's not going to be mandated anymore. The CDC has given guidance that they recommend that our students and our teachers and everyone wear a mask when they're out in public, especially inside. So I just want to kind of get together. That decision is going to need to be made shortly after spring break, before April 9th. I just want to kind of get your ideas and thoughts about that. Any thoughts? Jeremiah?
I'm all for trying to comply with what the CDC's recommending myself. So I like to err on the side of, of safety if at all possible. So.
I agree. I've talked to a couple of doctors just to get the opinion. They say it's come this far. Why would you wear? I mean, you don't want to risk testing anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, after that date, we'll have what, 6 weeks?
Yes.
6 weeks of school left.
Yes, sir. Something like that.
In my opinion, why change it so close to the end? And I've done the same thing and been kind of told the same thing. I run the risk of having an issue right at the end there when it's been, from the numbers we've been given, pretty smooth on that end.
Ditto. Okay. The numbers have been encouraging lately, and I think the masks do help prevent the spread of COVID-19. I'm a little concerned about spring break and what's going on down in Florida right now in various spots, and people tend to let their guard down a little bit, and then we see a spike once we get back in school after we've been out for a little while. But I've been speaking with superintendents. I've spoken directly with 3, and they're all 3 going to do something different. It goes anywhere from we're going to make it optional for kids, but teachers are going to have to wear them, to teachers are going to have to wear them and students don't have to we're going to have everyone else wear them for the remainder of the school year. So, and after that, I began to talk to some local physicians here in town. I've talked to 2 locally and 1 at the state level, and they all strongly recommend that our students and teachers continue to wear masks at least until the end of the school year. Don't tempt fate, a difficult situation, especially when we're seeing an improvement in the spread of it. So just didn't know if there were going to be any differing views about that. I know within the community there's going to be some. There are going to be people who don't want their children to wear them, and I'm receiving a lot of emails from people who do want their kids in school, if they're going to be in school, to wear them. Now, the science behind this, the way it's been explained to me, is that when you wear one, for instance, if the kids aren't wearing one, they're not able to protect everyone else around them. Even if someone else is wearing a mask, this is designed to contain your own secretions, okay? So if the kids aren't wearing them, the teacher is going to have to wear some kind of extraordinary medical mask, not anything like what we've got on right here. It's going to have to be something different. So really the masks are to protect others from you, not the other way around. So anyway, just wanted to kind of run that by y'all to see what you thought. That's going to be a big decision that's coming up. And are there any other comments about that?
Superintendent, what about outside?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Outside, I think as long as we're maintaining a safe distance, I think that kids can take a break from wearing their mask and teachers can as well. I think we've gotten to that point, and glad to see the conditions improve here toward the end of the school year. The next thing is the certified tabulation of bids for HVAC and window projects. Normally, we wouldn't have a work session to discuss this, but this bid has come in way over what our budget is. In fact, a little over $700,000 over. The initial budget was $1,450,000, and the lowest bid came in at $2,155,400. Okay, so this is something that I think that we need to proceed with one way or another, because those air conditioning units are very old. The window situation in these schools needs to be addressed. You could probably rock along and push it down the road just a little ways, but there's no guarantee that you would get a better price. In fact, we're being encouraged to go ahead and move on this. So naturally, I brought in our CSFO, kind of talk about some different options. I'm going to turn it over to her and let her kind of explain some options that may be available to us.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the project is at Dolphin to replace windows and HVAC, Pinedale windows and HVAC, Rucker windows, and Heron Creek windows. And so what we did is we have some options. Like we talked about, this money is part of the PSCA bond issue that the state is providing to us. That's money that we do not have to pay back. And therefore specifically things that you guys have approved in the capital plan that Mr. Pop puts together every year and that you guys approve as a board. So these are things that we feel are necessary, especially considering the money that we've got and the condition of some of these buildings to go ahead and do. There are a couple of options for funding. Just because right now it has been approved under the PSCA does not mean we cannot use other. We do have another group of ESSER funds coming. It's called ESSER 2, coming from the state. This is something that we received and we met in groups last week. The State Department had put together a little just a explanation on some of these funds and what they can be used for. We are currently in the process of conducting a needs assessment. And then what these are for specifically, I'm just going through, this is my highlighted version of this. It's for instruction materials, professional development. It's for unfinished learning supports, as well as some budget facility renovations. Now, one of these budget facility renovations that's allowable is HVAC, but it has to meet specific requirements. It has to provide, our wonderful consultant, Tommy, has reached out to the State Department to double check on this. What we would have to do in order to make our HVAC portion of this project allowable under this ESSER 2 money is to upgrade. There is a component, there's a UV component specifically that goes into these air conditioners to help spread the coronavirus. This would be in addition of approximately $35,000 to the project.
Total 30?
Total 35,000. And we did look at the potential cost over the years. Like, well, how much are these bulbs going to be over the years? It's a small, like $15 to $30 each, every so many years to replace these and to keep them running. So it would be an extra $35,000 to the project, but that would allow us to pull this AC HVAC portion of it, which is about $925,000 plus $35,000 out of the bond issue and use it for our ESSER, out of the ESSER 2 funds that we'll be getting. We can include this ESSER 2. We have to get the application in and approved. It's supposed to be in by June 1st. So that's something that we're working on as a team to address all the other needs, but it can be, the HVAC portion of it can be used to be funded by this. Does that make sense?
Do we know how much ESSER money we get total?
We do. There are two pots to this ESSER 2 money. You're going to hear about it later, but I'll just explain it now. There's a state ESSER II reserve fund for $288,000, and that's specifically for elementary and secondary English language arts and math, as well as assessment money. So it's $288,000 that specifically has to go to your PD and assessment. So that's something that our team is working on to determine what high quality PD is going to be going to that $288,000. The rest of it is going to be $3.7 million. And that's where we're working on our plan. So we need a plan. It's not just, you cannot just spend this money willy-nilly however you want to. And going through, I can provide you guys with this. This is on the State Department website. But it requires us to go through a survey and to make sure that we're meeting all of the requirements necessary to bridge any learning gaps. So specifically learning gap related. I think there's anything else. It involves, it can involve curriculum funding for English language arts and math. It can, you know, some screening as necessary for our students to make sure that, let's see what the needs are for our students, and then see how we can, you know, get those met. Transitions, if we find that there are trouble, if we're having problems transitioning between middle and high school or elementary and middle school, you know, we can look at that and see what those needs are and what we would need to fill that. Trying to think of what else here.
Is there a time limit for using that money too?
Good question. We have until September of 2023 to use this money. So all the PD is, we're not looking at spending all of the PD and everything this summer and into this school year. We have a little bit of time to use it. So as we use this for our math, because I know math, we're gonna have curriculum adoption soon, we'll be able to use math PD for this summer as well as, you know, the next summer and then into that school year. So it's not just a quick, you have to use within a year situation.
Can I ask Mr. Rogers something?
Yeah? Come on up right now. Trying to get out of it.
Is this a kick the can down the road issue, or do we need, it just has to be done as soon as possible?
Well, we got several things going on. Like with the windows at Herring Creek, what we've got out there is wood with metal clad around them. They've been deteriorating since the time that building was built back in, I think it was 84, 85 is when it was built. They're rotten. I mean, we've been repairing those as best we can, but they're about to fall out. They're the worst windows in the system. The ones at Pinedale, Dolphin, and Rooker Boulevard, they're the old single pane, uninsulated windows. They're not energy efficient at all. A lot of when you turn air conditioner units on, we'll have problems with rattling, so it makes, you know, the environment's a little tough to learn again. We got some of them that leak, so we're constantly, you know, trying to repair those. The air conditioner units, the ones that Dolphin, I believe, are the oldest units. They're around 30 years old. Pinedale is probably about 27, 28 years old. The life expectancy of these type units are from 12 to 15 years. We've got just about double the life expectancy out of them because we've been babying them. You know, we've been cleaning them every year. So they're definitely well past their life expectancy. We're finding it difficult to find parts for these old guard units now. So it's becoming an issue where, yes, it's not something we can kick down the road very much further. We had planned on replacing these 3 or 4 years ago. So I think we can kick that can about as far as we can. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think while we have the option to use that for the HVAC, it'd be crazy not to.
So it'll help protect local funds, and it'll stretch those PSCA funds a little bit further. And keep in mind, we still have roofing projects at various locations that need to be addressed, as well as we want to put a storm shelter at ECTC. We're real concerned about the roofing just because of the way metal prices are coming in. That's why this came in, or part of the reason why this came in so high. We feel like with the roofing, since it's not urgent, that we could perhaps wait and see what happens with the prices. You're gambling when you do that. But those roof systems that we have will be fine. We wanted to pitch those roof systems to get, you know, better life out of them for the long run. But right now, that's not a dire situation. The storm shelter and ECTC, we're also real concerned about how that's going to come in, but being able to use the ESSER funds for this will free up more money, and we could do it locally too if we need to. But that's going to free up a little bit more of the PSCA money if we can use that, the ESSER 2 money.
Yeah, that was going to be, my question was, if we did add the UV so that we could use those funds, would we be able to use those PSCA funds to try and cover whatever we were going to cover with those original ESSER 2 funds, or put them towards like what you just said about these other projects? So.
Yes, sir. I believe we can flex the funds between the packages, since the state did approve the packages. This is just our budget, and I think they're going to be very understanding of the fact that these are, especially since from 6 months ago to now, prices have changed significantly.
Just didn't want to get us where we were in a situation where we couldn't use it to do what we wanted to do with the, or what we needed to do with the ESSER 2 funds. Okay.
How long is the project?
The project's supposed to take, what, 7, 8 months?
Yeah, 8 months, and a lot of that depends on the availability of some of this, so there's some unknowns there. So we know there's potential of some disruption, but we're going to do everything we can to mitigate that. We've talked with the principals. We know we've got rooms we can move them to while they're working in certain classrooms. So it's not going to be done over the summer. We hope to start that project during the summer. And it will be going on while students are in. We've made arrangements to make that as flow as smooth as possible.
And that's not uncommon. I mean, almost every project that we're involved in is not convenient. I mean, it's at schools and most of the time, but anyway, we do our best and do our best to keep kids moved around so we're not too disrupted. So. All right, so I didn't want that to be something new that you heard at the board meeting. If you've got questions that you think of over the next couple weeks, please feel free to give me a call Pam, and we'll try to answer your questions. We will need to move our board meeting because we need to either accept or deny that bid within 30 days. So I believe April 13th.
Yes, sir.
We'll need to move the April meeting up to April 13th, and we'll just keep it at the same time, 5 o'clock. But we've got to be able to do that within 30 days. So, and I think that's at day 27 or 28.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll give us a couple days. And I can let them know, whatever the decision is. So.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions? Anything else, Matt? You good?
Yeah, just, if it is a question between roof projects and what we're looking at now, these air conditioners and window units, this is definitely, like Mr. Paul said, this is more pressing than any of the roof projects.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then as far as the masks, the option that I like the least is the one where the students don't and the teachers do. To me, that's not sending a very good message to the teachers.
Well, the doctors that we spoke to, I actually spoke to 2 local, one, like I said, the state level. I was on the Department of Public Health, and Ms. Hardwick spoke with another local one who echoed the same sentiment. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So anyway, we'll make a decision on that when we get back from spring break. Okay? All right.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.